What's going on, everybody? This is Steve from Bloom Audio. Today we're going to talk about the Eversolo DMP A6. So a few months ago, the DMP A6 got dropped off on my desk with very little fanfare. Sat there for a few days. I finally got it open, took a look, and I was just really impressed, having set up a number of streamers, how quick and easy the process was. I was further impressed once I started using it more and listening to it at how clean and transparent the sound was. Between the usability, the features, great sound, and that $899 price tag, is DMP A6 the total package for hi-fi streaming? Let's take a closer look. Taking a look at the device itself, it's a big black aluminum box. Part of that size is it's got a nice screen on there, lots of stuff to plug in on the back, and a nice little volume knob on there that's also your on-off switch for the device. While the primary input for most people is probably going to be the Ethernet or Wi-Fi, you also have the option to connect an input device via USB, digital coax, or optical digital. Digital coax, USB, and optical digital are also your output choices for digital output. And for analog output, you have RCA and XLR. You should also note for digital output, you have an HDMI connection, which will work if you want to output this to your AVR. In terms of your basic specs, the DAC is an ESS ES9038Q2M with a dual configuration. For your CPU, you get a quad-core ARM Cortex-A55 Pro, and it has 4 gigabytes of DDR. You can install a SSD up to 4 terabytes into the M2 slot. DMP A6 has Tidal, Qobuz, high-res audio, Amazon Music, and internet radio pre-installed on the device, but it also supports connection via WebDAV, UPnP, Roon, AirPlay, DLNA, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, and Qobuz Connect to use the external app to connect to that. I should add that it is certified Roon ready. The LCD screen is a great size. You can still pretty clearly view your album art and information from a decent distance. And the touchscreen aspect is very responsive with the Android 11 OS. In terms of actually using the device, I found the UI and layout to be generally very intuitive. There are a couple hangups that we'll talk about in a minute, but that basic Android setup, having the home and back buttons there, along with a pretty well laid out menu and settings system, made this really easy to use. On top of that, the app is excellent as well. It gives you all the features that you get from directly on the device, on your phone, and I think even a nicer layout on your phone. So in terms of finding everything you're looking for on here, music is where you're going to find your music collection, files that you copied to the internal storage or added via a hard drive to that. Streaming is where you want to go if you want to use the apps that are pre-installed on DMP A6. I should note at this time there doesn't appear to be an ability to add additional apps, but again, you can connect through a variety of protocols and apps to stream music off of your phone, computer, or whatever else you're using, YouTube Music, or whatever other service you might be using that's not included on the device. Browse is where you can go to view all the files on the device, including system files and other things. You can also access an external hard drive on here, or files shared over the local network over a number of protocols, UPnP, DLNA, or even the SMB file sharing on a PC or Mac. If you hit the source icon, that's where you'll go to set your input and output options. There's a couple things to note here. So if you select USB, optical, or digital coax as your input, you can't also select those as your output for a digital output. So when you're using this as a DAC and not as a player or a streamer, you can only output analog. You can't do a digital output from that. So if you want to use the digital outputs to only use kind of the brains of the unit, you're going to either need to be using the files that you have on there, setting the device up as a player, or using the network input as a streamer. Under the apps section, and this was probably the first confusing bit, as I was expecting to find the streaming apps under apps, not under streaming, but I guess that still makes sense. But this is where you'll find the interface for CD ripping if you connect a CD drive via USB, and for updating the device. Under settings, you'll find configuration for each of the inputs and outputs. This is where you'll also find items like DAC filters and the ability to switch the one USB output, which is labeled OTG, to either connect directly to a PC for file transfer or to connect to an external drive. I should add, when you're connecting to an external hard drive or CD drive, the maximum power output on that is 1.2 amp. So you may need a device with an external power supply to use in conjunction with DMP-A6. So it's really a breeze to use. Not a lot of hangups, very intuitive UI, and the setup was very intuitive as well. But all those features, connection types, file storage, all that doesn't really matter too much if it doesn't sound good. So to get the best understanding of DMP-A6's sound, its capabilities and performance, we use it under three main different circumstances. Case A was using it as a standalone streamer with the digital output, and we set that up with a DAC connected to a 2-channel speaker system and also to a DAC connected to headphones. The second option was as both a streamer and a DAC, and again we set that up with connection direct to an integrated amp. Also messed with a couple different sets of powered speakers for that setup, and then connected to a headphone amp directly to a set of headphones. Final option was setting it up as a standalone DAC, so we connected a computer directly to the DMP-A6 and then connected it to an external headphone amp for that case. So what follows are my more subjective impressions of listening to the device. Audio Science Review actually put together a really good piece with some detailed measurements and more objective review of DMP-A6. We've linked that in the description. That's definitely worth checking out if you want to see the sort of by the numbers comparison to some other products out there. Now, as a standalone DAC, the performance here is really solid. I'd kind of put it in that $500 to $1,000 range, competitive with a lot of stuff from Topping or SMSL in terms of the overall sound quality that you're getting here. Now, obviously, most people aren't going to buy this just to use as a DAC, considering the size, the lack of a headphone output, which a lot of great options in the $500 plus range will also have a headphone output. But just understanding that overall, the sense of detail, the level of soundstage and imaging, and the transparency that you can expect from this is quite competitive, in that range of a lot of really popular DACs out there. Using it in isolation as a streamer, I felt very transparent. You would just kind of forget you're there, and again, a nice dark background compared to, say, the iFi Neo Stream. I thought they were pretty much in the same ballpark in terms of that overall quality of just staying out of the way as a streamer. And comparing it to some other devices, like a phone or a laptop, I think there's some improvement there that you'll get out of DMP-A6 over a non-dedicated device. Now, compared to some other streamers, some higher end streamers, like the Matrix Element X2, Name Unity Atom, don't feel it was quite as black of a background there, but it was really solid, and I think it's still worth the comparison between those. For me, I think the best experiences I had with DMP-A6 were using it with something like powered speakers. What was great about it is so often you spend so much time on each component of your hi-fi system, and to get that level of quality from essentially just unboxing everything, turning it all on and plugging it in was just really incredible, especially at that level in a 2-channel setup. We used it as an office jukebox sort of. We had the speakers set up. Anybody could connect, play a song. It was really impressive, really simple and easy to use, and really robust in terms of not getting too hung up or crashing or losing connection. When we do really mean things to it, like connect to it from Spotify, and then use the app, and then use AirPlay, and then plug something in directly, and do all kinds of stuff, it really held up well and provided a quality, seamless experience through all of that. In terms purely of sound and measurable performance, I think DMP A6 is really a best-in-class sort of unit, exceeding the expectations you have for the price range. What brings it to the next level isn't just the basics of the sound and performance, it's that ease of use, the convenience, the simplicity. Set up a dozen different streamers from $500 on up. And that combination of performance value and convenience that DMP A6 gives you is the best I've seen. Thanks for watching. You can check out DMP A6 and a lot of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more high-fidelity audio content.